Today we are going to talk about outcomes in Canvas. Outcomes are the equivalent of our district's ALTs, or learning targets. So they should be preloaded when you come into the outcomes page, and they'll be listed here, and they'll kind of have the coded name. But if not, you can find them by going to our account standards, the Beaverton School District standards, and then they will be in one of the folders. Most of them are in the MYP folder for us, since we are an MYP school. Depending on your course, you might have to hunt for them. The nice thing is that once you have found them and you start to import them, they will, when you click Find Again, it will go straight back to the folder you left it in, so you can just add them all from that folder. So if you need to add targets, this is how you do it. Now let's talk about mastery. The mastery is automatically set for us, and we cannot change it. I don't necessarily agree that it is set at 8 points, but it is a district set thing. And ultimately, it doesn't really matter. What it impacts is that when the students look at their learning mastery grades, that it says not mastered unless they have reached a 3 in their behavioral targets, or they have reached an 8, which is the highest score possible. Generally, I would think of mastered as being proficient or highly proficient, so that would be a 7, right, when you come into highly proficient. But either way, it doesn't impact their score. It does not impact their letter grade in any way, shape, or form. It is just about this tag of mastered and not mastered. Now, let's look at our calculation method, which is also the aggregation method. Our outcomes used decaying average. Decaying average means that the most recent result counts as 65% of the mastery weight. The average of every other result is 35% of the weight. And if there is only a single score, the single score is just returned because it's averaged against itself. Now, there has been lots of pushback about this calculation method, but research is showing that this is the most equitable grading practice because it does not penalize students for not having the knowledge earlier. What it says is that this most recent assessment is the most important for this target, and that if you have figured out what you need to know for this learning target by the time you take this final test, that's what matters. Ultimately, it does not matter that you didn't know it before, but at some point in the class, you have figured this out. You have learned what you need to know for this target, and that is what you are being rewarded with by this aggregation and calculation method. It means that the low scores, whether they're zeros because they weren't doing the work, or they are 1s and 2s because they were doing the work and they were really struggling, are not going to dig a hole that those students cannot get out of, and that they are not forced to do a bunch of extra work to redo those assignments that maybe they didn't have time for, that maybe we don't have time to grade, but that they have an opportunity to still let that work or that material click and start having higher scores that will actually positively impact their grade. With the transience of our population over the years, with the challenges that students have had due to COVID, it is super important that we use as equitable a grading practice as possible. And this is a research-driven, equitable grading and calculation method. So this is what the district has picked for us to go forward with, and that is what we should be using. If you have concerns about how you have been grading, or concerns and questions about how best to show to families what students have mastered and what they have not, please come talk to me. Please set an appointment with me to work on that, or with our coaches, Megan and Haley, so that we can come up with a plan for how you can best articulate, here's where the grade is at, and here's what they're showing in terms of MYP, here's what they're showing in terms of district targets, even if you'd like to communicate more. And we can come up with a method that really shows in Canvas what parents need to know about their students' progress and success in your class. So that was just a quick explanation on outcomes. Please let me know if you've got any questions. You can email me, you can reach out, and I would be happy to go over them with you in more detail. Bye, guys.